welcome back. It's your 10th, 11th, or 12th favorite reality TV recap podcast. We are Blighty Day Fiancé. My name is Michelle. I am a 39-year-old American expat, originally from the Washington, D.C. area. I've lived in London for the past 15 years, and I'm currently here in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California, with my co-host, another East Coast transplant. His name is Jack.
Hey there, everybody. Jack here again. Yes, it is true. Lifelong New Yorker. I still consider myself a New Yorker, although coming up on a decade in Los Angeles. Love it. Beautiful day. I spent my day today driving my two little dogs with Diana over to the vet in Culver City. So I got to see a lot of LA. Really quintessential LA experience driving from an undisclosed location in Los Feliz to Culver City.
Should I talk about my East LA experience at a coffee shop nearby that I had the other day?
I want nothing more than for you to start sharing more and more about your Los Angeles experiences.
Yeah, I think I probably should. So I had been here maybe once, like 20 years ago, before coming here for an extended visit. I'm really enjoying myself. I feel so relaxed in a way that I haven't felt in decades. And I don't know if it's the chronic fatigue that I've been suffering from or the fucking 300 days of winter that was carrying on in the UK last year. Maybe it's a combination of a lot of that stuff. I think there's a different rhythm of life in London than there is in Los Angeles, and probably in New York too. It feels very distinct, don't you think?
Yes, I mean, I have to tell you, I had traveled all over the world and the country, but somehow never made it to California into my 30s. Came here for the first time in 2014. I came for the second time a year later in 2015, visiting a friend, and I moved here in the summer of 2015. So, yes, I got the same thing you did, which is it really is a lot calmer and slower paced. It also oddly feels, at least on this side of town, the east side, it feels less judgmental. And it's not the perfect weather because it is kind of too hot here right now. It's a calm vibe. And compared to the hustle and bustle of East Coast City, it's just
It's
different,
so
different level.
it's been so good for my nervous system. Like I just feel anyway, I'm being that person that I don't want to be, but I had a very LA
I'm going to
experience.
push back on that. All you're doing is sharing that. I know you feel like you sound like an LA asshole, but
Yeah, that's what I
all you're saying,
sound
no,
like.
you didn't talk about Joshua Tree and crystals. You just talked about that it's calmer. I personally sometimes ascribe that to the Pacific time zone, just sort of, it's 9 o'clock in the morning by the time it's noon back east. But I'm getting off topic here. What was your quintessential LA experience?
Yes. So I went to a coffee shop that unfortunately I has become a habit. Um, I enjoy their coffee. I'm not going to say who they are, but they're very popular in this area, and you routinely have to stand in line at certain times of day in order to get your delicious vanilla oat milk decaf iced latte. So, at one such time, there was a lady, tall lady with a gray pixie cut. I put her sort of between 45 and 50, though I didn't get a particularly good look at her face. Um, there's about, I would say, like 9 feet maybe between the counter and the door,
That
like the
opens
entrance.
inward
Yes,
also.
that opens inward. Um, and this lady thought it appropriate to take up space right in front of the door when she only had one person in front of her who was ordering at the counter. She was not wearing a mask. She had more than enough space between herself and the customer in front of her. And I had to sort of sidle in like an awkward little crab. And when I say sidle in, I mean my tits probably brushed up against her back because it's like 100 degrees here every day. And I almost like went flying through the window, which was directly behind me. And I was so uncomfortable. Subsequent people who came in after me also had to like sidle in like crabs behind me. And so then it was like an L shaped line.
Let me ask you
Now,
something about this.
yeah,
Because you told me this story. Why do you suppose all of you, like you and then the additional two people who come in, why were you all so deferential to this woman taking up the entire store?
that felt natural to me because in England, like that is what we do. We queue.
Fair.
We queue for things. We queue for things in awkward formations, but we respect the line.
But this line moved because she was not at the normal starting
No, and
position.
this, y'all, this isn't where the story ends. So she took her time. And then finally, when she moved up to the counter, she spent at least 7 minutes, felt like 10, but I'm being generous here.
Well, first, please tell the people of the vast selection of wares to peruse in this particular shop.
They have two types of coffee beans and they put them in like 4 rows for some reason. They're all exactly the same.
Mhm.
All of the sort of pastries and stuff is like way far down at a totally different counter. So there's no way that she could have been. First of all, this is not the kind of place that you come into and peruse the menu very slowly during a peak time when it's 100 fucking degrees outside,
Let's just
okay?
keep it moving. Everybody knows exactly what they want before
Yes.
they get to the head of
And
the
the
line.
beauty of the east side of LA was I was really scared, and Jack can attest to this. I said, I don't feel comfortable being in a place where everybody is like tan and beautiful and perfect, like I've seen on TV. Like, and it's a much more diverse population. I feel like most people who live around here are from the East Coast originally and have that sensibility of what the fuck are you doing? Right? It's the morning. We're all here for the same reason. So this lady took about 7 entire minutes to peruse the 2 bags of coffee. She had to mess with the order a little bit. She had to lean in real close. I know I didn't say that into the mic, but people who saw the video could see she had to like bend over and do a sort of Bobby Gorin from Law and Order, Criminal Intent, kind of, rocking
A
back and
lean.
forth. And look, if this was a mental health condition type of thing, I can spot that from a mile off. I have been in many hospitals and varied institutions, and this is not that. This was a lady taking up space that wasn't hers. And
everyone deferring to this
everyone
woman.
deferred to this woman, and I don't get it. But then I thought, you know what? Maybe this is happening because I'm conditioned to want to punch slow moving people in the back of the head. And maybe I have the problem, right? And maybe people were just like, you know what? This lady's enjoying her time here. Let's give her some space.
I'm going to push back on that. There are, as you just said, there are way too many East Coasters on this side of town to just be like, oh, come on, she's having a good time. It's 1,000 degrees. This is on the sunny side of the block on 100-degree day. So, look, I appreciate you being a nice person, but next time that happens, just, you just smile and you just say like, oh, hey, pardon me, are you at the front of the line or...
Or
our Letterkenny fans will get that joke. But you had
I'm sorry. Can I just quickly, while we're quoting other shows, I don't want to give anything away, but we were watching another episode of, and Patreonies, listen up, especially in the Princess and Prince Charlotte and Louis tiers, um, or the Prince Louis tier this week, actually. Vote. You have the power. It's a three-way tie right now between a an episode of Teen Mom, the new season, whatever they're calling it now, um, an episode of Help, I'm in a secret relationship, and I've already forgotten what an episode of classic episode of Real Housewives. Um, we were watching an episode of Help, I'm in a secret relationship, where a direct quote is, I'm going to need you to go ahead and stop that, because when I hear you talk about it, it makes me want to go ahead and throw up. And I want to start using that, start making that a thing.
I do want to say, if that episode gets chosen, the thing that this person says makes them want to throw up is something I've never heard of before.
That's true. Y'all, as Jake Anthony has said before me quite wisely, do not sleep on this show. It's worth it. Do not sleep on Help, I'm in a secret relationship.
And when you add the Jake spin to it and you just say, help, I'm in a secret relationship, it makes it more fun. So I want everyone to try that when you're getting geared up to watch this.
It's excellent material. Anyway, let's get started with the show. Shall we start with Josh and Lily, who looks like a cross between, particularly in her choice of outfit this week. I'm not, of course, talking about the beautiful Chinese traditional wedding gown that she wore. She looks like a cross between Meg, that robot from the horror movie, and Samantha, Megan, and Samantha, the American Girl doll, who millennial gals will remember, I hope, fondly. I was a Molly girl myself. Come at me. Tell me which of the OG American Girl dolls you had.
Diana was an American Girl too.
Yes, she was a Samantha girl, we found out recently.
But yeah, that's her general vibe. But would you say it's crossed with anything? American Girl doll crossed with what?
A 14-year-old with progeria?
Hey, look, you can only call them as you see them, right, Michelle? And look, if Lily's putting herself out there,
she's beautiful, by the way. She's a beautiful woman.
The fashion choices are a little amusing. She had a giant bow in her hair at one point. But again, this is all, for me, watching this, it feels, and tell me what you think here. I feel like she's trying to be alluring to Josh.
That worries me.
Why?
Like, because maybe his ex-wife, maybe one or both of his ex-wives were like gals whose dad had to sign a permit for them to get married to him.
A little too South Carolina for...
Whoa, excuse yourself.
I love South Carolina.
I do not want to get blowback from listeners on account of ignorant statements that you have made on this podcast.
Hey, look, I'll say to the listeners, and anyone can talk to me about anything, I am all in good fun on this show, as I am in all aspects of my life.
His DMs are open.
Yes, they are.
At Blighty Day Fiancé on Instagram. I run that account too. Those of you, can I just shout out to the people who correspond with me regularly on Instagram? I won't name you because, I don't want to blow up your privacy, but I just love, I get so excited to look at our inbox every day and see a couple of witty, brilliant messages from hilarious women and men all over this great nation and places abroad. And in fact, that's how I met you, which is crazy.
Yes, this is true.
Right? So yeah. All right. Look, this
Well, okay, I know
So,
where I wanted to start, but
yeah, please. No, no, no. Go ahead.
okay, it's we. I'm starting with that. Josh already got there. He's traveling to start the show. He's waking up for the first time in the. I don't know. I thought it was a cool house at first. Michelle told me it looked like a cool house that like a 14-year-old boy would design. And then I was sort of like the elevator with the music. Like that's not I was wondering, I was like, how steep is this home? Like why do we have an elevator like that?
When I saw that the gas in this house is not connected, first of all, where are you getting your hot water from?
Why is the elevator connected when the stove is not
Why
connected?
is the elevator connected when there's no food in the house?
Did you pick up anything like we have this thing where she's saying like he's complimenting the hey you did a nice job, a lot of the stuff's dual language, like the buttons are in
Mm-hmm.
Chinese or Mandarin I think she's speaking, and English, but then there's like a lost in translation moment where she's like oh no problem, it's funny because I'm broke, I could that's why there's no food in this expensive fridge that I just bought. Did you pick up a breakdown like where they weren't really speaking the same converse in the same conversation?
I My head's gone to some very dark places. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little bit worried that this is like a spec home that she doesn't actually own.
Are you talking like the home in like a subdivision that they're setting up before anyone moves into the neighborhood?
Yeah, like on Arrested Development when they lived in the spec home. Like I don't know, I'm not confident that the water runs. The fact that the gas not being connected at this point is a huge red flag for me. And because I haven't, I mean, have we even seen any of her stuff?
No, and also look, everything runs in a different way in all places, but she's telling Josh like, "Okay, great, go connect the gas." I don't want to connect gas in my own home.
No, you need to hire a professional for that. That's not something YouTube can
I
teach
was
you how
just
to
gonna say,
do.
don't YouTube that one.
Ugh.
But so we see so there's no food. We have and is there anything else you just in the house, so we make note of the elevator and everything. And it looks like I mean, she did say it was all brand new furniture. And you just made me realize something, and I'm not saying this is an Airbnb, but it has that vibe when we're watching these other shows like Help, I'm in a Secret Relationship, where it's like that person doesn't live there. That is it's like an Airbnb decorated home. And I don't does this feel like that at all? Not that it's an Airbnb, but like it's just I mean, we're not seeing any personal effects of her life.
This Ladies, this is that thing where you say something in a meeting and then a white man repeats it word for word
I was
almost.
agreeing with you. I was just restating it because I was
But
trying
why
to
did
keep
you
up with
restate
you.
it as a question?
What look,
I said this looks like a spec home that no one lives in. And then you just said, "Do you think this is one of those spec homes that no one
did
lives
I
in?"
say spec homes just now?
No, but you used a different word.
I didn't mean to re-explain what you just said. We are recording in the evening, which we're trying to avoid doing.
We're trying to avoid doing, but no one in this house can wake up before 1 p.m. and there are other things that need to be done. So
Very spicy. Well, listen, all I was trying to get to.
all I hear is a woman asserting herself and a man trying to take her down, and I don't
I
appreciate
want
it.
you to take me down right now. I think if you think I'm too high up a peg, you should knock me down a peg.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, good. I'm
But
glad.
if you were listening and paying attention, you would know.
Very, very
Yep,
spicy
keep
today.
going. You wouldn't say that to a man, would you?
I would definitely never tell a man he was being spicy.
Right, exactly.
Fair enough.
Now, you wanted to talk about the turtle soup because I have in my notes the turtle soup is a key plot point in this episode, and I would be remiss if I did not over index the turtle soup.
Okay, now this was a funny thing because Michelle was doing audio notes and I didn't realize she was doing audio notes. So I didn't know if she was paying attention. I was just, it felt like nobody else, and by nobody else, I mean Michelle and Diana, who was watching it with me, felt like no one else felt the horror I did at turtle soup. Um, as far as I know, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but I've always heard that it's made out of like,
We have animal sensitive folks,
oh, of course.
so
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. I
Trigger
won't say, I'm
warning.
not going to say anything.
No, you can.
Well,
I
I'm
just,
animal sensitive too. Let me
yeah.
make that very clear. So that's why I was upset by this. Trigger warning, 5 seconds. Baby turtles. That's what the soup's usually made out of. So I was just, it unnerved me that Josh was kind of like, that's my favorite delicacy. That's what I asked for. And then this brought back my question about, are they actually, I mean, we're going to see this more, but all of this financial use where she's using all of her money and Josh has no money, it feels like us as the audience has a good handle on that. But do Josh and Lily have a good handle on that
Well,
together?
I don't think either of them are being even remotely transparent with each other.
Now, it starts with this request for an item that I found upsetting. However, the next part's not upsetting. It's Josh really wanting to be part of Chinese culture, get involved in it, and he wants a traditional wedding. Um, the money thing kind of comes up again here because we seem to have a disagreement or lack of discussion about what both people want in a wedding.
Right. But also, he says, "Oh, I've still got some money left over from the house, so I can make up the difference. But like, we can do these upgraded suits." I just want to say, I don't understand how the same designer can make something that looks cheap and awful on this man and so beautiful and stunning on this lady.
She looked like a model wearing the traditional dress,
She
and
looked stunning.
I told you he looked like he was, and again, I don't know how because it's obviously beautiful work. Maybe it was his, I don't know, goofiness in there. He looked like he was in like a costume shop.
He does have very buggy eyes, which lends itself to a cartoonish appearance at times.
Listeners, I said they reminded me of Paul Giamatti eyes, but I didn't check a Paul Giamatti picture. If anyone agrees, let me know.
They're just very like they are right out there. Let's talk about James and Tata. I'm glad I mostly dissociated during their segments because I just can't like the thought of I mm, I miss my dogs every day and in every way, and I just couldn't do this. Like my dogs really are as much my children as Alfie is, and I mean that. I just love them so much.
I know, and as I pointed out to you when we are watching this, I'm going to point out to you again and to anyone listening, while this is very upsetting that James is, not going to see his dog Jojo, yeah,
Yep.
for a little while. This is in Jojo's best interest. He's made it very clear that if he takes Jojo to Indonesia, there is a good likelihood that something unpleasant will befall Jojo. So this is a positive move. However, watching anyone say goodbye to their pet, even for a short amount of time, makes me emotional.
Um, so I don't want to get into the travel stresses me out, even if I'm not the one
That's
traveling.
not what I was laughing at. Sorry.
No, I know, but I don't want to over index that. I also want to acknowledge that it's a well documented fact that women are not taken seriously by doctors in general in the West. Our pain is minimized. We're often perceived as exaggerating or lying or being dramatic. It's a serious problem that is endemic even among female and female identifying doctors. So I don't want to discount or diminish in any way what Tata has suffered from. However, I'm I'm 99% sure that any physician working in New England knows an upper respiratory issue when they see one, and could have diagnosed this for her. I think I'm sure there is a place somewhere that you can mail order an herbal treatment, or even fuck it, even in Portland, there are enough people practicing alternative medicine in Maine, and I know some of them personally. My cousin's wife is an herbalist and she does this for a living, like I, I don't really understand that part of it, but now, or I didn't. But then I saw her with her family and I realized that she's actually emotionally probably 13 or 14 and she just wants to be home. And I completely relate to that. I understand that.
Just on the illness thing for one second, I thought she said that ultimately what she did was she went to the doctor back in Indonesia and got pills. Did you think she meant like Eastern style pills? Because I took it as antibiotics. That was what I surmised.
No, she probably did, but she also got I have to get used to saying herbal. She also got herbal
You can say
tea.
herbal. No one will make fun of you here.
I well, everyone's going to make fun of me. She also got tea that I mean, come on.
Well, I'm not discounting anything. I'm just saying she had an upper respiratory infection in her tonsil and what was the other area?
Oh,
The
it was like there was a
thyroid and
thyroid
tonsil.
issue, which like I could
We
tell
said
you that
that.
was what was
Yes.
happening. Come on.
But my point is that whatever the Eastern medicine did, which I'm sure it did something for her, she also used Western medicine in Indonesia.
Right.
I'm going back to your point of she's home, she's around her family. I feel like look, she looks healthier immediately, and it's not just because she took some pills.
No, but I'm just saying you don't if you can't deal with weather, which I completely accept. You're
You're in
listening
Southern
to somebody.
California now.
I'm in Southern California now, and I've just spent 15 years in probably
A humidifier.
one of the worst climates in the world. That's unfair. It just rains constantly. Okay. Uh, I sympathize with that, but you could go to Florida or Southern California and have the same weather as you do in Indonesia,
Yeah.
possibly with fewer typhoons or cyclones.
I did just want to, can I rewind in their story for one second?
Of course.
We had one of my favorite time loop interventions of sorts here where in
Where he
between
grew a beard in 30 minutes. Yeah.
where James says he's dropping off Jojo because he's leaving later that day, but then we cut and he has like a week's growth of patchy beard on his face, which I didn't hate on him, to be fair.
I thought the star of this episode was Tata's sister, whose name I didn't catch.
Yes, yes,
She
yes,
gave me the very strong energy of an older sister who was tasked with actually raising her because her mom probably had to work.
yes.
And she is just fucking over this kid and always has been since the day she was born.
Well, it's also the way Tata speaks about her family. At one point, she's talking about her parents, and she's talking about how maybe her father will change in regards to James and thinking about things. And we were laughing because I was just sarcastic. I was like, oh yeah, everybody knows that older men set in their ways are super open to changing for
Famously flexible and adaptable, particularly if they've had like hard scrabble lives where they're still doing back-breaking labor into their 60s. They are absolutely going to be super open-minded and ready to deal with whatever their dumb children are. And she says that James is just going to have to stick it up. So apparently now she wants Bonnie and Clyde role play, right? Uh, I would suggest there are better venues for that than your parents' house. Not speaking from experience. Let's talk about Statler and Dempsey.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. This is like very triggering for me and watching, I'm sure for a lot of people out there. Statler seems very, very uneasy with everything she's about to do and is in the process of doing. She's second guessing herself. I do want to say, before we even say anything about her, I find her inspirational for myself. I mean, she's confronting her fears and her travel fears and all of these things head on. But I'm going to let you talk a little bit about her story here. I did find she has a wonderful friend, Natalie, who really helps her kind of come to some upsetting conclusions in the moment.
You know, friends and family members of cast members on this show tend to fall into one of two categories. They are either consummate enablers, Emily's dad, or they are um, total naysayers who are borderline or outright racists or xenophobics, like Skyla. So to have somebody who validates Statler's experience and her feelings, but is also encouraging. And I know at the last reunion she had some pretty unpleasant words for Dempsey, but I just thought, yeah, she was being a really good friend in this moment because she wasn't being judgmental. She was pointing out that Statler has, and who among us hasn't done this, right? That Statler has put more of herself and her own resources into relationships where she doesn't necessarily have a partner that reciprocates. And this is another one of those situations.
Well, and outright, just to say, not even doesn't just reciprocate, but it sounds like outright has been used in the past by partners.
Yeah. Yeah. And I admire her so much for being herself in ways that I aspire to be, and for especially sharing about her adoption trauma and the impact that that's had on her relationships, and being really, she wears her heart on her sleeve and she gets a lot of shit for it. And I'm never, people have said unkind things about her. I'm never going to like wade into those discussions in our Facebook group or elsewhere, but because I think people should be able to share their opinions. But you're never going to change my mind about her. Um, I love her and I consider her a kindred spirit and somebody who I can relate to pretty deeply. So, yeah, I do play favorites and she's my favorite. So go
Cat's
some
out of the bag.
yeah. Yeah. I do say this every single episode, but I know that she's listening. She's been a huge supporter of ours too. So thank you, Statler, and thank you for continuing to be yourself in this neurotypical saturated world. Um, Although I do think mental illness is well represented in the Matt Sharpiverse.
Yes, it is, but
Not that autism, not that that's a mental illness. I'm just saying,
you're talking about representation of
yes,
different
I'm talking
kinds
about
there.
representation.
And I would
Yes.
just say, yeah, Statler, I love watching your story and I think you're a big inspiration. So, that's one man's opinion about things. But back to this. So we have, okay, I just getting into the crux of it today a little bit. And you got into it. I want to get into that for a second, but let's not go anywhere too emotional. But yeah, I mean, it was really remarkable of Statler and very in touch with herself, and so nakedly discussing, how the adoption affected her and going forward. And a lot of this, it's funny. I was wondering, so Natalie brings up all of these somewhat upsetting things, but they're important. They're things that Statler does need to think about. It felt like, oh man, like, Natalie stirred up like a lot of tough feelings now, but that's being a good friend because Statler's making like life altering decisions. And to just know that you have somebody in your corner, even if you're not 100% sure, which we see. Statler says at best she's really feeling like it's 50-50 as she's headed out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know, we have like the money issues that are in there. It sounds like Statler went further into debt a little bit setting up for this trip, getting that advance from work. But on the other hand, we haven't seen it. It sounds like maybe their traveling vehicle might be a little bigger than initially thought.
I don't know. It remains to be seen, but it's heartbreaking. This was so hard to watch for so many reasons, and yeah, triggering too, because you very recently had to deal with me when I was getting on a plane for the first time in 10 years,
Yes.
and you were great and very
Oh,
supportive,
well, thank
and
you. I don't consider it dealing with you, but no problem. Happy to be there.
of course Robin and my family were very supportive of me too.
Absolutely.
Um if we can move on,
Yes,
I'd
yes.
love to do that, because who better to close on than these two knockoff Barbies and GI
You
Joes.
think I am worst enough to be shut to back of show?
I don't know what accent that
That was a
was.
mix of my neighbors and Sarper.
Um
No, it's it's a bastardized Sarper accent because I've noticed I've been veering into like Schwarzenegger
I
territory
know,
with
and I
him.
do it every time. Shekinah. Um
Oh, but this okay, we are going to end on a bit of a stupid funny note today because do you have anything you need to get to before like the main course of
yes,
their
I
thing?
do.
Okay, please do it.
I thought it was really shady for the editors to show a wooden toy shop when these two are clearly made of plastic. I just felt like that was really cruel. It's like pointing out how unnatural they are.
When will I be a real boy?
Yeah, exactly.
So just the crux I'm saying is at the beginning here of their scene, but he's goes to like a corner of a wall, a very dirty wall too. Let me just say,
This
and
whole apartment is so filthy.
you said, what did you say it smelled like?
I don't remember. Well, definitely like that smell of overcooked chicken, because he eats like probably boiled chicken
Also,
every day.
like burning protein. That's like
No, I think it's,
specifically chicken.
you know how when you open chicken from the supermarket, sometimes it has like a very, and this is normal, everyone don't panic, but sometimes there's this like sulfury kind of smell when
Yes,
it's
you're
raw.
making me want to throw up, but yes,
Sorry, are you going to go ahead and throw
I'm
up
gonna go ahead and
if I don't go ahead and stop it? Yeah, I think it smells like that smell, because protein farts, especially if you use whey protein, smell like rotten eggs.
So he has like open whey pro. It smells like open whey protein. Um,
Yeah, heavy sulfur.
KY,
Um,
or he doesn't. I don't need. Yeah,
well, as I've said many times, these two do not fuck.
yeah. But
There
does he
is no
jerk
way.
off?
No,
So
probably not.
your position is that neither of them need any sort of sexual fulfillment.
Nope, and I think that's fine.
Of course, it's fine. I was just saying between them because they give off an air of like supreme sexuality with each other. Is that just for
You're
show?
you're joking, right? They talk about sex in a way that's more sterile than my health teacher did in 7th
Yes, I
grade.
was kidding.
Like, okay, there's
Your
nothing.
face.
If you'd like to see my face, patreon.com/bladydayfiance. $5 a month, you get everything plus a bonus episode. $10 a month,
Ad free
you get
on that one.
video. Yes. Um, and for $15 a month, you can choose the bonus episode that everyone listens to. We're going to add more things as we go along. We're just not in a position to do that. And thank you for your patience. No one is going to get sick this weekend. We've made a pact. So
we're working through any illness.
we're going to work through it even if we do. Yeah, no, I don't, what? This back hair thing? I'm skipping over all of that because I don't.
That's fine. Can I just say one thing about it?
Of
Because
course.
it's gross, okay?
Yeah.
And everyone has their own stuff. I'm not saying he can have back hair and need to be groomed. To equate the waxing of your back with how much you're in love with someone is just something I've never heard before.
Oh, it's the length of the back hair that.
Like, it's not stubbly. You can see, like, no one's done it for a while.
Right. Do you have back hair?
I don't myself.
That's surprising.
Because I have chest hair. And I don't. What do I look like? I'd have back hair.
I mean, you're Jewish and you're pushing.
I got no
your
back hair, no
mid-40s
shoulder hair.
yet.
Why, my father has no back hair or shoulder hair, and he's in his 80s.
Okay.
Maybe I got some decent genes I'm working with here. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. But
the Sicilian side is not going to do you any favors either, because I've never seen a bare shouldered Italian man.
Maybe maybe my specific percentage of Sicilian is just working in my favor.
I guess so.
But look, she kind of plays along, and I don't know. You tell me your thoughts here. This is like when they're doing the scene where she's monotone talking to him about the relationship while she's waxing his back and doing all of this, just feels so like overproduced and bullshit. And that was, I think, the moment I said to you, and sorry to I don't think I'm breaking down any illusions for anyone here. It feels like they are already here somewhere, and like this was filmed like a year and a half ago, and it's just like trash in the can.
It sure does.
As they're getting them ready for their LA, opening night, whatever.
I think you could probably. So much of that doesn't make sense. First of all, you're never going to save up enough money when you're not working to like provide for Shekinah in North Hollywood. I'm an expert now, by the way.
Well, that's where she gets her dog groomed, at least.
Yeah. Okay. We don't know where exactly she lives, but you're not going to be able to provide for yourself and Shekinah on a few months savings in Turkey. Okay.
That's what felt like bullshit, because no matter what we think of these two, she's not stupid.
No, she isn't, but he is.
Yeah, but so I feel like she's kind of like probably leading.
Can I have some of that? That's the watermelon one.
Probably leading the narrative.
Y'all don't tell Alfie. Don't look at me like that. Now, I do want to give him an award. I want to give him a medal, actually, because this is so brave. It takes so much courage and so much reflection. He is not a fan of toilet humor or women with normal bodily functions. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. And he told the woman that he loves that sometimes he imagines her pooping or on her period and it doesn't disgust him. Chuck, can you just keep talking?
I can, it was so, but I'm getting emotional too, because he said that like this was all part of his charm. And it's charming that to tell the woman you love, like, your normally bodily functions don't make me think you're a disgusting monster. And I mean, for him to feel so vulnerable and naked to speak from the heart like that.
Right?
Wah, wah.
Caduce to viewing other women as human beings. It's more than the Supreme Court does.
Ayo.
That's not even a joke. I wish it was.
Oh, no, it was still worth an AO, though.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
This
go ahead. Sorry, go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no.
Saving you from yourself. Okay, what I was gonna say was this is where this led into like, oh, so this is all trash and not real, and it doesn't matter because now you're arguing about the K1 visa that I said to you, Michelle, while we were watching. Do you think she filed the K1 visa before they were ever on the show altogether?
Probably, yeah.
I think that that's been in the works the whole time.
She's not a dummy.
No.
She's a very, very traumatized, hurt person. Um and that is not the kind of tone that I want to end the show with. So,
Well, I just will say, and we'll get off that, but she did have to remind him that she has a daughter. He seemed to forget, which, that can be neither here nor there. And we end with them this week in that he doesn't really want to come here, and she doesn't
babe,
want to live there.
babe, babe, babe. Don't you understand I have to be there to not raise my own child? Don't you get that? You're not going to get it because you don't have children. You're not a mom. This is for the mods, by the way. I am a mom. I'm the only kind of mom, and you'll never understand because you'll never be a mom. Hey! My name is Michelle, and sometimes I imagine you pooping. You, listener.
My name is Jack, and no matter what your gender or preference or orientation is, I find all of your bodily functions beautiful and normal.
We love
We
you.
love you.
That's
That's it.
it.